personal life as she married actor Ranbir Kapoor earlier this year and will soon embrace motherhood. Before we begin the conversation, we have a special AV for all of you. Can we please have the AV?
What makes Alia special? And actually, she is
Conversations with personalities at Akka have touched our souls and ignited our minds. Akka is a space for conversations with a discerning audience. Welcome to Express Akka with actor, star, and now a producer, Alia Bhatt.
like I'm working with a sound film, and sometimes I get lost in the shot and just the normalcy of the shot. The fact that she is so normal and still making it look so extraordinary. That's where I'm being a special quality lies. That's what makes Alia special.
29-year-old Alia Bhatt is rated a position as one of contemporary Indian cinema's most accomplished actors with Sundari Sali's Kapoor Khatnawali. Now, she's making her debut as a producer with Darlings. But the superhero movie Brahmastra Part 1 Shiva is scheduled for a September release in India, but will also feature the Hollywood thriller Heart of Stone. Alia has entered a new phase in her personal life as well after her wedding to Ranbir Kapoor and the announcement of the first child.
Not just to hear about Alia the actor, Alia possibly the director, Alia the producer, Alia the businesswoman, but also Alia the grounded person that I know, the person who's ambitious, caring, and yet just so grounded about herself.
The next phase of Alia Bhatt's life is going to be even more extraordinary because it's going to give so much more experience to her, and all the performances she does post that will benefit from that. I can't wait to see her at Express. Adda, Anand, Shubhra, all of you, I hope you have a great chat with her.
Express Adda presented by Caffeine, co-presented by Polycab, Kotak, Associate Partners, Bankeries, Dosti, Hospitality Partner, Tajlands and Mumbai.
Join me as I welcome Alia Bhatt to Express Adda. Hello, welcome. She will be in conversation with Indian Express Executive Director Anand Goenka and film critic Shubhra Gupta. Over to you, Anand.
Thank you so much. I think the last Express Adda that we had was with the finance minister in Bombay. And Alia, the crowds are matching that, I just want to tell you. At least a number of SMSs I got asking for seats are matching that. Alia, we're here to talk to you about you, your career, everything, Alia Bhatt, and especially this latest movie, which I did end up watching. Shubhra and I both watched, and I want to tell you, I genuinely think it's an extremely well-made movie. It's just done in a very, very interesting way. Highly recommend it. Alia, let's start with asking you the decision to be a producer. Did the decision to be a producer come first, or did the decision to produce this movie come first? What was it?
I honestly don't remember. It happened so long ago. The time that I met Jasmeet, my director of Darlings, it kind of happened in 2019. We're in 2022. And I have very bad memory, so I don't remember what happened and how it happened. But I just remember that it just felt like a why not, you know? Maybe I had reached that point also where I was like, okay, listen, if I'm headlining a movie, maybe it makes more sense if I produce it. You know, maybe not charge such a massive actor fee, don't load the production, all those technical number, take a back end, all those little things. But then when I thought about it, I'm like, okay, listen, there's a part of me which is also now wanting to explore a new sort of arena in my career as a creative individual, not just as an actor. Because I suddenly started getting more and more interested in the whole aspect of filmmaking, and felt like I have something that I would like to contribute as well. And Then came Darlings to Me, a script that I just was instantly surprised by. I think that's the first word I would use because I was not expecting it to go where it was going. And yeah, that's how it all happened.
But you couldn't have chosen a tougher time to become a producer, right? I mean, this has been a really tough year for Bollywood.
I think it's a tough year for Indian cinema. I think we should just be a little kind to Hindi films because right now we are sitting here and saying that, oh, Bollywood, oh God, like it's so tough for Bollywood and all. But are we really counting the overall number of films that have done well this year? Like even in the South industry, all their films have not worked. Some of the films have worked and they've worked very well and they're very good films. But similarly over here, some of the films, starting with my film this year, Gangubai Kathiawadi, have worked and done very well. A good film will always do well. I think the lens right now is really hard on cinema in general because we're coming back post pandemic. The theaters were shut for almost 2 years. So there's this sort of course, assessment like what are the films that are going to work in the theaters? What are the films that are working in general? Good content will always do well. That's a given. We can't change that. But now, maybe we're just sort of reassessing what are the kind of films that we are going to put into the theaters, what are the kind of films that we'll maybe bring directly onto an OTT platform, what is the general consumer habit. We're just assessing that, understanding that, but it doesn't mean that Hindi cinema is over. That ain't happening.
No, of course not. But is there enough introspection happening, you think?
Of course. One is not sitting eating popcorn and being like, yeah, jo bhi hona hai, hone do. Everybody cares. And if you ask anybody who's making movies or who's in the movie business, we literally only talk about the movies. That's all we talk about. Our friends are in the movies. We have conversations. We are assessing content. We're talking about the other content. We're talking about each other's content. We're constantly learning. We're constantly grasping. We're constantly evolving. At the end of the day, it is a business, but it's also a creative business which genuinely takes over your life. You can't help it. It just takes over every conversation and every thinking moment. Like sometimes you have to try and switch off, which is very hard, but it doesn't happen because that's how in a creative industry you just your body gets involved in the filmmaking aspect of it.
Yeah, so hi. We were just talking about Alia's new film, which I've also seen, and I will, of course, tell you more about
We're
it.
all waiting for your review. Like I said, I want to know what you thought about my film.
So, but more than just this film, I'm very interested and very curious about the fact of your having started um, a production house. And I think is there a new confidence that a new Bollywood really requires at this moment? Because someone like you who's below 30, who's 10 years in the movie business, so many films, when Priyanka and Deepika, Anushka, all of the top A-list leading ladies have all started the production houses because they want to tell the stories that they want to tell. So was that a thought in your head that you wanted to tell the story that nobody else was telling, which is why? Because it seems to me that all my years of covering the industry, there's always been this little dismissive note about ये तो एक women's issue पर film बनी है. Now I'm wondering why should it be women's issue, men issue? It's human, isn't it? So I'm very curious about the thought behind your film and the fact that you call it what you do.
Well, I'll start with why I call my production house Eternal Sunshine Productions. Well, you can say it's inspired by the movie Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. It's a film that I really, really love. But actually, I've seen that movie only 2 times. It's not like I've seen that movie 180 times or I'm like, oh, I am obsessed with that movie. But there's something about the word eternal and sunshine that I feel just mean what cinema means to me. Like, I believe cinema is eternal, and sunshine brings you warmth. Like, you think of a sunny sunshine full day, it brings you warmth, happiness, a warm fuzzy feeling in your heart. And I feel that's the contribution that movies and content in cinema has had in my life. So I just felt it fit the words eternal sunshine. Coming to what are the kinds of stories that I would like to tell, I'm not somebody who feels कि मेरे को I want to tell something that is हटके जो कोई नहीं बोल रहा है वो मुझे बोल. Everyone is telling the same kind of story. We are actually in the eons being saying the same stories. The setup is different. There's the underdog story, then there's the love story, then there's the revenge story, then there's the fighting for your loved one story. I will tell that story in different settings, in different forms, because we are all telling the same stories.
But isn't that something of concern that you are telling the same stories? It
No,
the
but
tropes. It's the tropes that people like us who are sitting on this side watching something unspool on cinema. And I'm very interested by the word you use, surprised. The script surprised you. We only want to be surprised. So
absolutely. So telling the same stories, a familiar story in different ways. So that's what the endeavor is constantly for anybody trying to make a movie. But there is a certain um, misconception that, oh, they're trying to see, you can't be just different for the heck of being different. At the end of the day, you want to see something, there's something familiar na, in a character that you're connecting with, that okay, there is maybe this, the character wants to achieve something, not being able to achieve it. Okay, now I'm already invested in the character. Now you go through the character's journey of trying to achieve it, and then finally, does the character achieve it or not? And maybe after achieving it, doesn't want it anymore. यही तो आंख है basically. But if you put it in every setting, you compare different films from Hollywood, Bollywood, Tollywood, Jollywood, whatever it is, it's the different language, a different setting, but the same story, because we are all actually telling the same stories. Even in our own personal lives, it's the same story. So I mean, it's a over high concept thing that I'm saying, but what I wanted to say is I don't want to tell only women centric films. That's not what my endeavor is. I'll tell a story about a dog, about a cat, about a woman, about a man, about a father, about an uncle, about a dadi. I want to tell good stories. That's the endeavor. Stories that mean something to you, that maybe leave you with some lingering thought. Now, never say never. I'm not sure I would tell a story that doesn't teach you something. I don't know why. I just feel like, for me, whenever I've watched movies that leave me with a feeling like, I remember when I watched a movie like Wake Up Sid, for example, I suddenly wanted to become a photographer. Even if it was for 3 days, I wanted to become a photographer. So I'm like, okay, I love the fact that movies can, or cinema, or just content in general, even TV shows, can make you feel so like inspired and charged, and can literally change your life. So if I can do that in some way with the content that I'm, you know, with the content that I'm producing, then why not?
yeah, but one little thing about how a movie must have a message at the end of it, tacked in it, that again becomes reductive, isn't it? When you're talking about being inspired, I believe completely that movies can change your life. I
No, no,
believe,
not must
yeah.
have a message at the end of it is too much. Not even a message. It should just leave you with something. There may be, okay, there may be a resolution between two characters that may happen in the pre-climax that leaves you with something. There may be a beautiful romantic scene between the girl and the boy, or the girl and the girl and the boy and the boy, in the first 15 minutes of the film, that leaves you with something. But I feel like there has to be a takeaway, which is not just a time pass watch. That I'm not sure I want. The thing is, I also don't understand that kind of content, not from any other reason. I also think it's really hard to make that kind of content which is just like a really fun watch. I'm not sure I understand that, so I wouldn't be able to add anything to that.
But is your approach to cinema, is it coming from your commitment to the craft, your love for the craft, or do you even think about the fact that the kind of soft power you individually have today, you feel a sense of responsibility of doing something beyond just entertaining for those 2 hours?
Yes, absolutely. Try and make some point, some dialogue, or some moment that you really really feel can impact somebody's life or leave you thinking about something. Like, it's basic, but yeah, I don't want to just be, then I'll tell a story about a pillar. I mean, I'm saying, otherwise, what is the point? There has to be something which is either I'm either I'm either I'm like commenting about something that I feel very strongly about, or that I just feel like maybe I learned something from. I don't know. I think the stories come, and you just have to feel. Sometimes it just clicks, and sometimes it just feels right. But yeah, there's a, like you said, there's a huge responsibility that you have. So you have to know what is the message. I mean, what is the kind of story you're telling, and what are you putting out there in the universe for somebody to see that.
Very interesting, and maybe we come back to this more. But it brings me to the thought about the evolution of brand Alia. The last 10 years, it's your 10th year in cinema, and the brand Alia earlier in pop culture, wherever you talk about Alia Bhatt, right? The first thought 10 years ago would be ask her who the president is, and that was the constant thing that kept coming. But this time when I sent my
Draupadi Murmu ji.
when I send this message out for this adda to my some of my friends here, who some of them are here, the kind of responses I got was, we want to hear from her. She's so smart. She's wiser beyond her days. She's, it, your positioning, your brand. Just talk to us about that journey. How do you see that? Not just in cinema, but your brand Alia in India. How has that emerged? How has that evolved over the 10 years?
Well, honestly, I'll be very honest. I love it when people, like, think that I'm unintelligent, or like that, oh, she's so dumb, or she's not passed.
You love it when people think
I love it. I genuinely do, because they make so many memes on me, which adds to the popularity. And then it's like, but you're loving my movies, and even if you're like, okay, but she's so dumb, but I'm like, okay, but I'm still a part of the movie, so there's something that I'm possibly doing right within the movie business. I may not have the other side of it, but actually the reason I love it, let me tell you, is because I don't think I want to put out this message also to young girls, that intelligence is purely, and I don't mean this in an offensive way, but that general knowledge, book intelligence, in my opinion, is not intelligence. That is something that is a part of the layer, but actually, to survive in a world, you have to have a certain emotional intelligence, which is possibly the highest form of intelligence, because that makes you take some decisions which are not very studied or very calculated or very by the book. So I'm not by the book. I mean, I think that's something that I really say very loudly. I genuinely don't even remember anything that I studied in school from a book. What I remember was my maybe interactions with my, with my teacher from the dramatics, or my or when I took part in like inter-school competitions or sports competitions. That is what I really understood. Obviously, I'm not becoming a doctor or a scientist or whatever, so I didn't need to do that. It's totally different for somebody who's in that field. But I think it makes people who maybe want to lean towards a creative field know that, okay, if you know the creative aspect of it, at the back of your head and at the back of, like, that strongly, then it's okay if you don't know the other aspect of it. And my father said this to me, that you'd literally rather be stupid than pretend to be intelligent. So I literally rather be stupid than pretend to be intelligent. I ask the questions. Like, recently somebody had this interview, and this was on the 23rd of July, where somebody asked me who's the president of India, and I was like, but see, right now the ceremony has not happened yet, so I'm not sure what to say, so I rather not say anything. Because if I say something, then again you're going to point a finger on me. But still, I really don't care, so I'm totally okay with that. Speaking about my evolution as my brand and all of that, I don't know. I don't know. I don't care. Because I don't think this is just a 10-year journey. I want to be, in the industry, acting, making movies till I'm like 90, till I can walk, till I'm making sense. So yeah, for me, it's a really long, long, long road ahead.
Okay, so more memes coming up. Yeah. Um, it's something you just said, which struck me as really interesting. Is that a minute ago when we were talking about having no filters, and you had, and I asked you, so did you have any filters in the first place? And you said, "पहले थोड़े थे, अब तो बिल्कुल नहीं है." So what has that? What has shifted? I mean, why are you saying that now you have no filters at all? Because that is who you are, right? Can you be any other way other than who you are?
That's what I'm saying. I've actually never had any. Actually, I'm a person who doesn't have filters, but there's a certain maybe level of by filter. I mean, of course, I have. See, I don't think I'm a bad human being, so I will never say something wrong in that sense where I feel कि मुझे इतना डरना चाहिए with the kind of thinking I have or the kind of person I am. Maximum what I'll make a mistake. I'm okay with making a mistake. But nowadays you're getting trolled for sneezing or breathing or getting out of a car. So am I worried about that? No, not at all. Am I worried about making a mistake? No, not at all. Because if I don't make a mistake, how am I going to learn? Or how am I going to question? So the fact that I made the mistake once in my life, maybe of not knowing who the president of India is, and I have to say in my defense, for the millionth time, I knew who the president of India was. It was just confusing. You put anybody in spot and say answer de do, all wrong answers come out. Okay, that just always happens. Anyway, it is true. What was I saying? So what I'm
Filters. You're
saying is,
talking about filters.
yeah, so what I'm saying is I'm okay with making mistakes in general because otherwise I don't believe I'll be able to learn if I don't ask the questions. I'm okay with being wrong. I'm okay with being incorrect. And now, yes, I was explaining to you how I don't have a filter anymore because maybe I'm just really comfortable with the person that I am today. I'm almost going to be 30. And maybe this is the start of like extreme comfort with my the person that I am and the personality that I am and the thoughts and values that I have.
And Alia, can you just walk us through your process? You know, and this is a question that again a lot of people don't have many friends in the film industry, but the few that I do kept asking me to ask you is, can you walk us through your process? Because you know, you seem to you know, play every character brilliantly and all different types of characters. And one of the notions earlier that we had was, you know, to be a brilliant actor, you need this emotional bank that you can pick out of, and you know, you need to be a struggler. You've gone through a lot. You know, you've essentially had a, I mean, you know, you've been comfortable life. You know, Bandra Juhu is, you know, kind of where most of that kind of happened, and you got into film 10 years ago at the age of 20, um, and had, you know, great films, great people launching you. So, what is your process? Where do you feel that you had this emotional bank? You kind of just were born with it. How do you get into? How are you such a great actor? What? If you just walk us through your process a little bit more.
Yeah, of course. I would love to answer that. Only I don't have an answer because I genuinely do not have a process. And I'm not saying, I'm not trying to hide my secrets and all like, oh, magician never shows her tricks and all of that. None of that. I just genuinely do not have a process. I do the basics of learning my lines and learning the dialect because that's ABC and that you better well do and that you need to know. But I think what I like doing is completely losing myself in another person's life. And that's what attracts me and what's my most exciting part about being an actor. Even as a young girl, even when I was like really like 5 years old, 7 years old, I was always in my head. There was always an imagination that was not the reality going around. My grandmother used to call me and I used to say, yeah, I'm just sitting with a frog and touching the frog. And like, it was always like, I was always making stories up. So I realized when the fact that I'm an actor, I get to live a different story every day being on set. So I truly, the endeavor is to just lose myself in that story. By lose myself, I mean lose Alia, lose who I am, and totally become that person. And it doesn't happen in every take or every shot, but I try and make it happen in most of the shots. And filmmaking is the you're the best of the best takes. So
Um, Actually, something that again I'm picking up from both of what you're saying. Which would be your most challenging role up till now? Because you've had the fortune to actually have many different kind of roles, right from Urta Punjab to Highway to Highway First and Badrinath Ki Dulhania and the singing dancing ones and some really intense and Gangubai of course and now Darlings. So when you look at your roles, is there something that was the most challenging? Yeah.
Yeah, I think Gangubai has been my most challenging. Maybe before Gangubai, it was Urta Punjab. But Gangubai has been my most challenging role so far because I also realized that here I had to give a extremely genuine performance from the heart, but I also had to play it very front foot, which was because it had to also be entertaining because we were trying to make a film that was um, reaching out to a larger audience, and hence you get those commercial figures at the box office. That is very hard, and it's all based on this one character and the style and the energy and the way you are delivering the line and the way you're lighting the BD and the way you're sitting. It's really hard to do all of that and also be genuine and also be committed to the moment. So you're also playing this larger than life like character where you're like it's heroism, right? You're amping up the heroism. I'm not feeling like a hero walking in my track pants and my t-shirt to my van. Like I'm like also that my build is really small and also I'm not really feeling it. But you got to switch it on for the camera and you have to make it look believable and also make it look genuine. Also this the place that she comes from in life, you have to catch all those layers, you have to depict all of that. Also in general, working with Sanjay sir is not a cakewalk. I think every actor can say that. He really is, he really pushes you to your best possible ability, and you feel so grateful for it at the end of the whole experience. But it is one of the most challenging experiences that I've had to go through. Yeah.
So I was doing a little bit of prepping before I came here, and I was watching your episode with Karan, where you spoke to Ranbir about how you called him and said there was this difficult shoot, and he showed up and he gave you energy, and it happened. So it's a lot of filmmaking seems to people like us who watch it with bated breath. It seems like magic. Is it all this? Is it alchemy? Is it hard work? Is it a combination of both?
Is this what
How
did you
does
say? Hard work?
very hard work?
Hard work is basic. Hard work is like that's the matlab है, वो तो given है, वो तो करना ही है. Every day is hard. You can't. There's no easy day. Every day is hard. Magic you cannot plan.
Hmm.
And what Sir wants in every shot is magic. That is something that you must have heard every actor say it. He was always looking for that magical moment. That's why it's like you're deep, like you're like literally swimming down, like the tornado or whatever. No, like you're going round, 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 and suddenly there comes a moment where he finds that magic. You feel that magic, and boom, everything kind of settles itself.
Hmm.
So, yes, that shot actually that I was feeling so nervous about because he wanted me to go into a certain trance, that was not meant to happen. I was not meant to. There's a moment where I fall into the crowd and then I regain my balance and then I continue and I put my hands up and I go and then my eyes go into one trance. All that was not meant to happen. वो हो गया. और वो मैजिकल मोमेंट इसलिए था क्योंकि आई डिडंट गिव अप द शॉट, स्टेडी कैम operator didn't give up the shot, dancers juniors didn't give up the shot. So it's an amalgamation of everybody submitting to the moment to get that final shot. It doesn't happen by chance, and that's why it's magic.
It sounds like a lot of stuff going on at the same time. Yeah.
So I think one of the things that's interesting, both Gangubai and Darlings, I think, is two examples where I don't know how much it's your call or a team call, but both I think you guys picked the medium correctly. Gangubai meant needed a big screen, and Darlings possibly would have been a struggle on a big screen. It's better on a smaller screen. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. I believe that the kind of experience you a film like Gangubai gives you, it's a larger than life visual experience which needs to be enjoyed in the, in the depths of a really nice theater on a big screen. That is something that you can't have that you can have the experience on a smaller screen, but it's just better enjoyed on a big screen. It's also made with that scale. Darlings is a more intimate watch. It's also, it's not about which is better or which is, you're not that. The content has to be good either way. But it's a more intimate watch, which I actually rather watch at home. Also, it touches upon domestic violence, which is a major theme in the film. There's also like something that my dad said to me. He said, I'm not sure if I'm a woman who's experiencing this, how am I supposed to watch the same film in a theater with my family? I may want to just watch it by myself in my own privacy. These are small examples I'm giving you. But also a platform like Netflix gives me a day one release in 190 countries. You're getting a chance to cut across the diaspora, because again, this is a story about, and it's very intricate about the, and particular to the world. It's little family in the heart of Mumbai, Baikala, and it's very like very fleshed out the whole world. That's something that can be extremely interesting to an audience internationally, because they're getting this very rich flavor, and they're getting a theme that maybe they can relate to, or they understand, or they feel for. So yeah, I think it was a call that we very happily took.
But interesting. I think at one point we would hear, the idea of doing OTT or big or big screen. At one point, the thought was, producer wants to get risk averse if the OTT is offering him a good price, and the stars are hesitant. They want to be larger than life. They want to be on the screen. You're disagreeing. I'm saying at one point this was the thought, and now stars are and producers are much more inclined, or okay, or they're much more in harmony to make that decision whether they should do OTT or whether they should do big screen.
What makes you a star? Ek to love. Love comes from giving audience content that they love. So where the content, of course, there's a certain kind of star when you are bringing money on the box office, वहां पे आपका वो दिखता है ना कि वो स्टार पावर है, और at the end of the day it's the content power. ये एक चीज तो हम सबने समझ लिया है कि content is what's bringing that power even on the box office. Similarly, on an OTT platform, if the content is good, 3 years from now who's going to remember कि मैंने ये OTT पे देखी थी तो मेरा प्यार थोड़ा सा कम है या थोड़ा सा ज्यादा है. Why? प्यार is प्यार. Content good is good. So whether it's sitting on an OTT platform or on the theater, the love will come if it's good.
But the star value, I mean, for a star, don't you feel that, being so large, being in such a being just having such a large screen and such a large presence with such a captive audience enjoying it together, that's helping you become a star also? I guess you don't agree with it.
It's a difficult question for me to answer. And yeah, I would like to believe that there's a certain larger than life element in the big screen which you cannot replace.
Yeah.
But there is, the bottom line is that the depth of good content standing the test of time is something that actually everybody should go for and does go for. कि हमारे films कितने साल तक याद रहेंगे, when you are still talking about a performance of Nargis from Mother India, when we still speak of that, it's standing the test of time. You're not talking about ye wo and all. That's all. ये मतलब बात की बात है. So I don't know. In my opinion, love comes and the stardom comes from the content that you give the audience and the people.
Right.
Can I ask a question about stardom? What is the most difficult part of being a star? Is it sometimes, do you really feel like running away from the gaze that you're constantly being subjected to, particularly when it comes to very private things? Um, does that concern you? What is the, I mean, everyone, we all think that your lives are They are limbed with light, and you live in oxygen bubbles and all kinds of things. But what is the hardest part of that?
Hello? I don't think I've ever had that moment where I felt like I wanted to run away, so to speak. And I've actually been one of the people who has faced a lot of random hate on, these online platforms, sometimes totally unexpected and unneeded, and sometimes because of something that I've said, or sometimes just whatever, randomly. But wo sab,
You're saying it's part of the game?
I think beyond a point where you don't really you don't really think, I mean, you don't really care about that. Yeah, I mean, you care about it to a certain level, I think, at a certain point in your life, but after a point you don't really care, because if you're loving the movies and if you're giving the movies love, then why should I have any complaints?
But here I'm talking about people loving you because of your movies. So there is the love that comes to you. Does it sort of? I mean, it's not always it's not always good. It can also be like because you belong to the person who's bought a ticket, so they can say whatever they want. Where do you have a line like, bus, this is it and no more?
No, nobody's coming to my space and saying this to me, no.
Hmm.
So I'm not really feeling that. I'm not really that affected by it. I
Okay.
genuinely feel like, yeah, there is a feeling that we are buying your ticket. We can say whatever you want. You say audience is king. Audience is king. They can do whatever the hell they want. It's a free country. You can say what you want. It's okay. Now, what can I do? I'm not going to be like, नहीं मेरे को बुरा लग रहा है तो
Hmm.
बुरा लग रहा है तो मतलब dessert खाओ. I'm not going to be like, I'm feeling so bad. Though nobody owes me anything, man. Come on. Like, the world is, like, life is hard. Just live, like, suck it up and move on. Do, like, put that hardness into your performance. Like, there was a time where people were just going at me because of being alive. And I'm like, okay, cool. याद रखना इसको और एक सीन में डाल देना. It'll be so convincing, they'll be clapping for you. Then हो गया.
Okay.
Right. It's really no issue. Listen, genuinely, even when there's like moments of like breach of privacy and all of that, it's okay. Like, even people ask me about this pap culture and all of that. We are all a part of one industry. It's one family. There's a lot of mutual respect and love. At the end of the day, they are also doing a job. If I don't want to be clicked, I need to work very hard to make sure nobody's clicking me. It's fine. Like, it's all a give and take, and we are all should be living in harmony and peace. I don't have any negative thoughts in general about anyone, and if people have negative thoughts about me, then okay, sorry, too bad.
But Alia, there was I mean, not too long ago, there seemed to be almost sort of a national disdain for Bollywood. I mean, there's like there's constant something or other, constant on headlines. Uh, Even that never made you think differently. Were you always like so zen about the whole thing throughout?
See, the way I look at it, बॉलीवुड हिंदी सिनेमा व्हाट्स आवर जॉब टू एंटरटेन यू अभी 2 साल के लिए थिएटर बंद थे आपको एंटरटेनमेंट चाहिए था तो यू यूज्ड अस फॉर एंटरटेनमेंट कोई बात नहीं वी हैव वी आर नॉट फीलिंग कि हमको ऐसे ही किया नहीं हमारी पिक्चर आके देखो वी आर हियर टू एंटरटेन यू इफ वी मैनेज टू एंटरटेन यू कूल
So you were talking about stardom a bit. Maybe I'll suggest I'll offer a definition of a star. The definition of star, and it's a very bad definition, but just to provoke a thought. Definition of star is how much money he can make or how much money she can make the opening weekend. Old definition, but with these opening weekends, the collections have been coming down more and more. So, where does that give? Does the star? When will that ever impact the this terribly old definition of stardom? Our opening weekend is becoming less and less and less and less. So, are you becoming less of a star if that's happening? When does that happen?
No, I don't know whether you become less of a star. I think sometimes you can be a massive star and be very loved. But again, the film has not connected, so nobody has come to see it. And
If
similarly,
that happens 4 films in a row, 5 films in a row, are you a lesser star then? I mean, at some point.
maybe until the next film comes and does a blockbuster or is a super hit. You are as bigger star as your last film, I guess. Um, but I think, yeah, there's a certain maybe reassessing that's happening in general about the potential of money at the box office and what that means for budgets and all. But wo andar ki khabar hai. We don't really need to sit and discuss this. Like, I'm not coming and asking a bank how they're functioning. You know what I mean? Like, so let's leave the functioning away. We'll give you what we are meant to give you, which is hopefully good entertainment and good cinema. But I'm sure that there is a certain general assessment that is just happening post the pandemic in every business, in every field. People are trying to figure it out. Everyone is figuring it out. But like I said, cinema or Hindi cinema or Bollywood or whatever you may call it has always been the first target or the first form of entry. मतलब हम लोग पहले ही जाके खड़े हो जाते ठीक है पहले हमको मारो फिर किसी और को मारो. So we have just gotten used to that conversation now. It's not. I'm not going to get into whether it's fair or whether you're talking about value being down or value being up and all of that. That we are assessing and will continue to assess. But the endeavor to make good content was there before pre-pandemic, and the endeavor to make good content will be the same post-pandemic.
So in your assessment, and again, I'm asking you to put the producer back, your producer hat on. Will we finally see some correction in the price that stars charge? Because so much of the money is just going to one person, and if one person is not able to deliver those opening weekend numbers, that is the investment for which you're doing.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. On that, I agree. I think that should happen. In general,
and you would have said this if you weren't a producer also.
Like I am not a number producer. मुझे कुछ समझ में नहीं आता. I mean, everything everybody knows. I do not understand numbers and I do not understand a lot of things. I'm a creative producer. But yeah, I'm sitting over here speaking like Dhanda and all. I really don't know numbers. I don't understand it beyond the point. But yes, I do understand that if it's the content, what I've understood is that the content is bringing people to the theaters. The star value or the stardom or the star in is a layer, but it's not the only thing that's bringing anyone into the theaters. So yes, for that aspect, it should balance out because you're not loading the budget of the film. Then, if you're not loading the budget of the film, your recovery is better. So I'm understanding it from that aspect. But again, I am no one to tell anybody what they should charge. मैं तो मतलब छोटी हूँ. But if you ask me that maybe some reassessing in general needs to happen, I'm sure all the producers are thinking that way.
I think that's a big statement to make. I mean, I think the first time I've heard somebody in Bollywood, and again, not my field, but say that there has to be a correction. I mean, first I'm hearing a star saying that.
I think.
Yeah, but I don't think that. But I think that even a star is thinking that way. And let me tell you, it happens many times when actors charge a certain fee for a film and a film doesn't do well. They don't take the balance fee. They sometimes give their money back. But uska hum log PR nahi kar rahe. But hota hai. It's happened many times, so many examples in front of me where you don't land up taking the money if the film has not done the money at the box office. So it's not like nobody's fleecing anyone. Like I said, we literally breathe, think, feel movies. We are one industry and we really care about each other's like films. When a film doesn't do well at the box office, at least right now, I can definitely tell you in this time period, we are not happy about a film not doing well at the box office, and we are secretly dancing and celebrating when a film, or secretly or openly celebrating when a film does well at the box office, because we all it's one business, right? We need to understand and be connected to the audience. That's most important to us. So I think, yeah, internally that reassessment must be happening.
Super.
I made a very big statement now. I don't know. Hope they don't come running after me.
Yeah, but then we've been talking about star fees for so many years now, 20, 25 years. Everywhere I've gone is always that the star takes the 3/4 of the fee, and then what do? And I'm glad that if some kind of reassessment is happening.
You can ask Amrit Pal. He's the producer. Pal, what do you feel?
We'll get him in for a minute, but I want to ask you about, we are here because we love the movies. This gathering is here because we love what you guys do. So when we ask you to do better or be better, then it comes from a place of love, I think. And it's also a question of saying that maybe tropes, maybe the things that you worked before, maybe something new, maybe something fresh. That's all we want. How much of it is of concern, and how much of it is like, if you are a really big legacy producer and you're putting together a project. It's not a film. I can see it's a project because it's a star. It has elements that will bring people in. It is elements that will bring the money back on the table before it even goes out to the theater. How much of storytelling actually is important now, or should be because things are not working. So the primacy of the story, how, I think that really needs to come forward, like a story forward thing or a plot forward.
Absolutely. No, no, absolutely. And in fact, it's better. I feel the competition is higher. It will keep us more on our toes. We are more charged to now really assess and, like you said, not just put together a project, really tell a story from the heart. Because the audience ain't buying, and pardon my French, bullshit.
Garbage, yes.
Yeah, they're not
Yes.
buying it, and they're not. It's hard earned money. That I'm like, listen, if I want to spend my money, please, like make it worth my while. And I think that is absolutely fair, and it's absolutely correct, and we should listen to that, and we are listening to that, and I'm sure everybody is. But yeah, like maybe like just like you don't make a film for the heck of it anymore, or just कि हम लोग कुछ कर रहे हैं and all of that and putting it together. वो होना नहीं चाहिए, वो पहले से ही कभी नहीं होना चाहिए था, but in general वो अभी होगा भी नहीं, because it's become much tighter and it's become much more harder. um but yeah, I think the awareness is there. There is a certain feeling कि, okay, listen, we really need to pull our
Yeah.
socks up in general.
Right. And your international project that you've just finished doing, I wanted to ask you about Indian actors, South Asian actors, Indian actors getting roles now in Hollywood, which are they are sort of marquee roles. They are not just the bit parts that used to happen. So there's, again, I will say Deepika, there's Priyanka. Now you have finished a movie with Netflix. Ali Fazal gets those roles where he goes off and does a Hercule Poirot movie. How much of it do you think Hollywood is really looking at this part of the world with a great deal of seriousness? Is that what you find, or are we still looking at the stock Asian cabby brown skin? That I
No,
wanted to
it's
ask.
changed. I mean, that's the sense at least that I got. Like, I didn't have to put on an accent. They just wanted me to speak in my normal accent. I'm not wearing some ethnic patchwork clothes just because I'm some, chick from India. There's no such thing. There is basically, I think, a need to see a whole range of people when you're seeing, like, everybody should be able to relate to everybody na, when they're seeing a film. So you're not just making a film of um a certain kind of ethnicity, or of a person coming from only a particular region. So that is the requirement, and everybody wants India. Like, India is look at the numbers that we have so much power. They want to be big in India. It's a fact.
So representation is important.
Is very important,
I
and
think
I am very, very aware of that.
Yeah.
Like, you know um we can't be doing the same cliche kind of type cast.
Yeah, Indian
Character.
used as exotica. I mean, it's all
No.
done and dusted,
Yeah,
right?
no, none of that.
super. I think we should get to the audience. We've got a packed house, and if we can get some show of hands, if anybody would like to make a comment, yeah, please, right here. Tavleen Singh. Alia, Tavleen Singh is our most read columnist for the last 6 years. Every
Hello.
week, the most traffic we get is on her column. So.
Hello.
The mic's off. Can we get the mic on? Hola.
Hello, can you hear me? Okay. Hello. Oh my
Yes.
God. I'm going to ask you a political question, and I want to, answer it whichever way you want to. Bollywood, I'm a big fan, and it's our strongest soft power. India, for many, many people all over the world is what Bollywood shows. But we hear, I'm sorry, long COVID. Um, uh, we hear that there is a kind of pressure being put by the state, by cultural pressure. Is there pressure, and do you think that there is damage?
There is pressure.
No such pressure has reached my shoulders or my circle yet. But I think our answers will be in the movies we tell, if whether because we hear a lot of things. I mean, we also heard that I had 25 vegan counters at my wedding, but I didn't even have 25 guests, so I don't know where the vegan counters come from. So I think the cinema that we put out there is the best answer to whether any of this is true.
Okay. Show of hands for any more questions there? Yeah, back there, please. If you can introduce yourself, that'd be great.
Hi Anant, hi everyone. I'm Kuldeep. Alia, my question, great to see you. My question is for Alia the actor and Alia the producer. So as an actor, you mentioned a privileged background. As a producer, can we expect more youngsters to get more chances in this constant talk of nepotism in Bollywood getting broken? Thank you.
नेपोटिज्म नाम सुन के ना मुझे कुछ हो जाता है. I actually recently went for an event, and someone from the audience said, how do I send in my script to you? And I said, this is the email ID. And he said, it doesn't work. And then I was like, oh, I immediately felt extremely exposed that my email ID for my production house does not work. So I went back to my 3 people team and I said, why isn't this email ID working? And because we are a 3 people team, it's working, but we haven't been able to really go through it together because it's a 3 people team. And I instantly felt so guilty. So I put out a whole new email ID and I said, send in your content here because we want to now sift through the old email ID and send everything here. So everything is legitimate in this one thing. And it broke my heart only for one reason, because I saw so much content from people, so much work done, pitch decks, scripts, story ideas, script ideas, this idea. And I was like suddenly feeling extremely responsible for this claim that I made, which I genuinely stand by, which is that I want to give new talent an opportunity, because that's what I did with my first film with a director like Jasmeet, because this is her first film, my first film as a producer. But I genuinely feel there has been so much of an unraveling in the last 3-4 days. I've seen the kind of work that people put in, and it's genuine work and it's hard work. And I felt very sad that there is sometimes they have no place to go to and they don't know how to break in. So yes, that is going to be one of my top endeavors, to really find that content amongst a random sort of bunch of mails from somebody sitting in Bhopal, somebody sitting in Chennai, whatever it is. Give me your content, and if it's something that we connect with and it's a story that we can put our merit and power behind, we will do it. Like I said, I'm still a very small team, but I feel extremely responsible for that, and I would like to continue that. This claim that I made, I really want to stand by it, and I feel very passionately about it. So that is the answer to your producer question. Do you have another question? I've forgotten.
That's
No.
wonderful. And that's wonderful. More power to you for that. But do you think that, I mean, is it fair to say that the established production houses haven't done enough? I mean, they just haven't done enough in finding that odd email, that cold email that's come in with a great story idea. Is that?
No, listen, I'm not sitting here questioning the established production houses. It's It's not easy to do whatever you're doing, and how do you know that they haven't done it already? Eventually, they are giving a chance to new directors. So where are those new directors coming from, or where are those new writers coming from? And in fact, you speak to any production house, you speak to anybody who's trying to put together films or content or anything, they're always on the search for writers. We are constantly looking for writers.
But those writers, I'm in my experience, people tell me that they do go to people and they say, then who's the star attached to your project? Who is the star attached? So if everything is so star driven, then where is the primacy of the story?
So I think that is where a platform like Netflix really comes and opens major opportunities up for people. Because let's be honest, when you put in your money into a film, if a certain um, like that's why when people like when somebody like a Sanjay Leela Bansali puts that kind of money on a solo heroine led film, how they say na heroine led films do not bring in that kind of money, or a Karan Johar trusts three newcomers and puts in money and makes a big scale movie, there is a certain fear maybe to go with an unknown face versus going with a known face, because you're putting in that money, and if you're mounting it for cinema. There's that fear. Maybe it's changed a little bit now, but there is a certain fear, because at the end of the day, like I said, it's a business. You have to get the money back. It's easier said than done. Having said that, good content sitting on a platform like Netflix, on an OTT platform, it takes away a little bit of that fear, because then you're really just focusing on the content. Because here I'm like, listen, I'll sit after a night of work, or like sitting with my family, or like on downloading material to go on a flight somewhere. I'm downloading content, I'm downloading material, I'm not thinking star kone hai isme, that's why I'm choosing. You go by word of mouth, you go by the. So I think that's really opened up a possibility for a lot of young writers, directors, for them to not feel pressured by the box office putting together of a film.
Or pressured by censorship? How That's the other bugbear, isn't it?
Mic to Vivek Jain, please. You're on the first one.
Hello. I can hear you. Yeah.
This is not a Karan Johar rapid fire question, but can you name your top 3 Hollywood actors and top 3 Bollywood actors that you think you admire from the acting talent, male or female?
Meryl Streep, number 1. Leonardo DiCaprio, number 2. Number 3. I would from there. Number 3. I don't see so many Hollywood movies, to be very honest.
2 is fine, Alia. Let's
No. One more. I'll give you. Who's a very good actor? What's his name? Joker. No.
No, Jaquan Phoenix. Jaquan Phoenix. Jaquan Phoenix.
Joaquin Phoenix. Fabulous. 3 Bollywood actors that I love, admire, look up to. Kareena Kapoor, ultimate favorite. Shah Rukh Khan, everyone's favorite. Ranbir Kapoor, theek hai. Also my husband.
Pal.
Hello. Hi,
Hi,
Alia.
Pal.
How are you? First of all, you've spoken really, really well. So congratulations.
Yeah, no one's going to come
Yeah,
hit me with a bat
No,
or something. Okay,
I think
good.
you're fine so far. So my question is a two-part question. The first is, let's imagine a world where you're about to turn 90 and you have the last few days to walk and you have one last role that you can do. What role would that be? And the second part of the question is, what legacy do you want to leave behind, or how do you want to be remembered?
Well, if that's the last role I have to play, and I'm 90, then I think I would play the old woman in Titanic. because that film has been remembered forever and I would love to be remembered forever. तो वो हमेशा याद होगा. And what legacy I want to leave behind is just um I don't know, like that maybe when you're asking an actor 100 years from now, what is one dead actor that they love and they wish they could meet, and they take my name. So I think that's a cool
Wonderful.
legacy.
Wonderful. Kobe. Yes. Then we get a mic on second row after that, please. Mr. Gulab, mic on second row after
Sorry, not to ask, just from an international perspective, I'm the Consul General of Israel in Mumbai. I saw your film, Two States, long time ago. And I mentioned this film all the time in my lecture here in the universities. Because in my point of view, I think the combination between South and the North, you are a lady from Tamil Nadu and the boys from Punjab. The combination, it's what makes me so fascinating in India. And I would like that I think that you spoke about, what to do out of India and how is to act in out of India. I think what I saw in these two states, it's something that I fell in love with India, even long time before I came. And I would like to thank you for that, because I speak about it and I think it's fantastic things about India. And I think this is what India needs eventually at the end of the day, combination, culture, and it's fantastic. Thank you so much for that.
Absolutely. It's the most beautiful part of India. Even when I'm on my Hollywood set and people are talking to me about where I should go, and oh, I've never been to India, where should I go first and what should I do first, and I'm like, oh, you can go here and then you will get this here, and then you can just take like just go here and then you have this variety of food here and variety of people. There is so much culture, and it's such a rich country. At every step, every kilometer, the culture changes, the food changes, the dialect changes, the people change, the animals change. um, we are a continent. India is a continent, and it's so rich, and it's what I take most pride in. So I feel so happy that you said that the amalgamation of South and North, and that's why we should be celebrating na कि हम अभी एक Indian film industry हो गए हैं. I mean, we were always the Indian film industry, but the fact that South films are doing as good film, like as big business as Hindi films, even more, it's a good thing. We should be celebrating that because that's the power of our industry.
Mr. Gulabchand.
But a bit on the same theme as legacy, Oscar Wilde observed in his statement when he said that life imitates art more often than art imitates life. Now, you, as an actress, doing the persona of several different characters, how do you see yourself add nuances to these that people would want to imitate? And as a filmmaker, what would you see as the ways you put the stories across that resonate with them and then remain with them to imitate you? What would you like your legacy to be? That you were a superb actress who delivered to people from life art, or would you like to be remembered as somebody who created those nuances to be copied?
Um, it's a very difficult question. Would I like to be copied? Imitated? Yeah, I think imitation is um, the best form of flattery. Correct. I was looking at the best kind of flattery, the best flattery. Yeah, the best form of flattery. So I would love to be imitated, but I also have to say I would love if it's very hard to imitate me, because that also means that I'm a bit of a chameleon, or a bit of a not really sure. So I know there are people who imitate me and they do a brilliant job at it. I get a lot of these videos sent to me on Instagram and stuff like that. But my endeavor, I think, with each character also is that I give you a new face, um, so that you're not really sure which face was the last face that you saw. So it's a new face, it's a new character, it's a new person. Um, so you're a little confused. I like that a tinge of confusion.
I think we have time for one more. Yeah, go ahead, please. Can we ask the young lady there who's had a hand up for a while? I've been trying to. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Sanika.
Hi.
Huge fan of your work.
Thank you.
So I watched Dear Zindagi when I was in the 7th grade. I feel like before that, talking about mental health was like a very hush hush topic. So do you think that the movie paved the way for people talking more openly about mental health? Or do you still think it's a very stigmatized topic?
I can't give so much responsibility to one little dear Zindagi to pave the way for mental health. And that would be totally unfair as well, because there's a lot of work that's gone into destigmatizing mental health over the years. It's still ongoing. People who have done brilliant work, necessary work. But I think definitely we've reached a very, very open place of discussion, and the younger generation is going to take that ahead. I said, like I was saying, younger generation, like I'm already 90. But I mean that because I feel like that conversation is so important. But I don't think we can ever stop talking about it, and we should not, because I feel a lot of the parts of the country there is still um, a stigma attached to having any issues with regards to your mental health, because there's a certain belief which is also kind of ties back to a film like Darlings, that theek hai yaar seh lo, or just bear with it or just deal with it, um, which I don't think is fair, especially when there's a psychological explanation for the things that you're feeling. Um, so yeah, I would not, to answer your question, I hope maybe that it opened somebody's mind at home to be like, okay, listen, I should go and talk about it if I'm feeling a certain way. But I don't think it's the key reason or the turning point, if that's what you're asking me.
We'll take one last question, Chima Maya, and then we'll get to the rapid fire,
Congratulations.
which I promise you is very innovative format. You never heard of it before.
What
Never been
kind of
done.
rapid fire?
Very rapid. Be very fast.
Like, okay.
Go ahead, Chaya. Say it loud.
Hi, Alia. First of all, congratulations for all the happy things which has happened to you in
Thank you.
22, motherhood, wife, and the best actor. My one question to you is that you're so young, and when you said you have no memory, but look at the dialogues that you've delivered, like like a flow in Gangubai. So I beg to differ about that. But
I remember my dialogues.
yeah,
I don't
but you
remember
have a great
many other things,
memory.
but dialogues I remember.
I think every actor has a good memory, and I pay ode to that. What is that one thing which makes you look, I mean, do so flawlessly beautiful in every movie? It's so easy because I don't even feel you're acting. It just comes out naturally, and like you said, you're a chameleon, and I agree to that. Every movie is different, and what is that one tip you would like to share with everyone that has worked for you to be flawless?
We're all trying to get you to say something to actors about how you're such a good actor.
Yeah.
What is the one tip I would give in general? I think is don't take yourself too seriously. It's a movie. It's a small part in the movie. There's a small part of the puzzle. Lot that is adding up to that puzzle coming. Like I explained about that one shot. Everything around has to also go right for your performance to then pop. So one tip I would say is don't take yourself too seriously. And I thank you for the compliment of calling me flawless, because I think that's really lovely. But I would have to disagree because I really see the flaws, maybe, or I see the moments of whatever. But I think if I were able to give you that answer, it would be pretty boring. So let's just say that I genuinely don't know when I'm good, how I'm good, and when I'm bad, how I'm bad. So good, bad, ugly, whatever it is, I just give it my all. I give it my 100%, and I enjoy what I do. I love what I do, and I don't take it too seriously.
Um, okay, I have a question about as an artist and the responsibility we've spoken about very briefly when we began, but responding to the world outside the set, outside your family, also becomes. Is it important for you to respond to what is happening in society around you when you're looking at you're building a character or looking at a potential film? And also, the other thing I've been thinking about is that your many facets to an artist's life, and will parenthood also bring some kind of an added responsibility to how you look at the world?
Yeah, 100%. I think your values have to really be in place and what you stand for, and um, those are the kind of values that you want to pass on to your children as well. So when you say responding, what do you mean? Like
Responding to
you mean
to
responding on Twitter and Instagram, or
no,
responding emotionally?
no, emotionally also, in the way you look at things, in the way you build your stories, you build your character. Responding to domestic violence, for example, I thought it would be a spoiler, so I didn't say it, but you said it. But it's a very political film. You may not be you're not sort of banging the gong for politics, but it's a deeply political feminist film. So I'm asking you about the expansion of that as you go along in your creative journey. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I don't think I would be able to give in to a part or a character or a movie that, um, even a dialogue that I believe is incorrect or problematic or misleading, or any of those things. I will question it most definitely, and that just comes naturally to me now. And maybe, yeah, the layer of being a soon to be parent would add it even more. I think that becomes sort of my weak spot, I guess, in any situation. And I'm already petrified, by the way, of it. Like, oh my God, there is like my I don't care attitude is only like valid for the next couple of months. So I do care. I always have cared, and I will continue to deeply care. But I think, yeah, my responses will come out through the movies that I make, and maybe not on Instagram and Twitter.
Okay.
There are way too many responses there already from the world, so take some time to
It's
sift through
more
that.
like knee-jerk reaction than response in any case. So yeah.
Okay, Alia. So we're going to try and do a rapid fire. And
Let's understand what kind of rapid fire this is first.
I mean,
Because maybe I can choose to not participate in the rapid fire.
you can easily just duck, and that's totally fine. Saying I'm not answering. That's
Okay.
cool. I mean, and this is not. I mean, the format.
I'm not going to
may
say
be-
no comment because no comment is the comment. So I may say I can't hear you, and
Fine.
that's your cue to move on to the next question.
Okay. Okay. If you could go back in time and reshoot any one role in a film, which one would it be?
Neither. I have no regrets. I think everything that I've done so far has brought me to where I am today. So all good, bad, ugly, everything happy with.
After consecutive flops, one piece of advice you'd give Shah Rukh Khan, the actor.
You're talking about Shah Rukh Khan. He needs no advice. He is the magic and the magician put together. And I ain't giving him any advice. In fact, I'll take advice from him on just how magical he is.
The one thing that Hollywood could learn from Bollywood.
I don't know. Like maybe like celebrate the song and dance because we're very proud of it.
Okay. If you could pick between a credible award and a good review,
This one I was laughing at.
what would you choose?
Explain.
If you could pick between a credible award and a good movie review, a good review from a film critic like Shubhra, what would you choose?
Neither. 300 crores at the box office.
If you could legalize one thing in India, what would it be? Prostitution, gambling, or marijuana?
I can't hear you.
Okay, I won't repeat the question with the working mic. Sanjay Leela Bhansali or Karan Johar?
Oh. Why do I have to choose between the two? I have both and I love both so deeply. So I will choose neither. I will choose both. Sorry, I will choose both. I mean, I love them both. Yeah, too much.
They love you. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Okay.
hope.
What's the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear the word cancel culture?
We need to cancel culture. We need to boycott the boycotts.
What's the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear the word wokeism?
What is wokeism?
Being woke.
Yeah, being woke is good. It's great.
Okay. First thing that comes to your mind when you hear the word millennial.
Nothing comes to my mind. I mean, nothing in a bad way, it doesn't. Nothing. It's what it is.
Okay. Will Alia Bhatt ever do an item song?
Why not? Nobody's giving me an item song to do. I would love to do an item song.
Okay.
I would love to do a song.
Achha.
Now, whether you call it an item song and all, that's up to you. Songs are songs.
Okay. And the last one.
I mean, there are so many item songs that are being performed in weddings throughout the year. Nobody talks about that. We're only talking about us doing the songs.
One Alia Bhatt role that was closest in character to off-screen Alia Bhatt. They're all so far away from you. Huh?
No. Not far away. But I've not felt that closest aspect yet. Maybe my next film, Brahmastra. Because
It's a superhero movie.
superhero to nahi hai. There's other super things in it.
Okay.
Superhero, I would not call it. Yeah, closest because clearly she's falling in love with Ranbir Kapoor, and I kind of did that already.
Fantastic. Alia, thank you so much for your
Thank
time.
you.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking so many questions.
Thank you. I really felt like at one point I was being like grilled, but actually this has been quite fun. Thank you.
Good. I'm glad to hear. Glad to hear that.
Thank you.
Jyoti, go ahead.
Please welcome Mr. George Verghese, Chief Executive Officer, Indian Express Group, as he presents a memento to Miss Alia Bhatt.
Just before George presents it, I want to explain this. Alia, this was your first ever live performance. It was at the Screen Awards. This was.
Thank you for the sparkling and insightful conversation, Alia. Thank you, Shubhra and Anand, for steering it so wonderfully. I would also like to thank our sponsors for the evening, Caffeine, co-presenters Polycab and Kotak Bank, associate partners Bagries and Dosti Group, and hospitality partner Taj Lands End. Please join us for cocktails. Thank you very much. You have been a wonderful audience.